Hey, it's Flannel Boy. Today's topic is an extremely easy target who annoys me more than that time the 80s tried to run an emergency line.
Okay, redirecting to Ghostbusters?
No, I don't need the Ghostbusters. I need medical help right now.
Right, redirecting to Ghostbusters. Oh, these things are small nowadays.
And while that joke was my fault, it pales in comparison to what Seth MacFarlane has done to comedy. If I had my way, networks would treat Seth MacFarlane like Patrick Warburton or Tom Kenny, and not like Matt Groening. He is a way better voice actor than he ever was a writer or producer or whatever he does on his shows that isn't voice acting. It's also abundantly clear that he's only got one TV show in him. Remember all that stuff I said about Butch Hartman and about how all his shows seem the same by Nickelodeon's broad standards? Yeah, compared to Seth MacFarlane, his shows are a veritable rainbow of diversity. The fact that it's all based on the Simpsons formula makes it seem like Seth MacFarlane never had an original bone in his body, and the humor is substandard at best. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna have to leave the heavy criticism for later. What did he get right? Not too much. When MacFarlane started Family Guy in '99, I didn't think it was terrible. Okay, for obvious reasons, my parents wouldn't let me watch it, but I mean, the show itself wasn't what it would become later. Rewatching them kind of shows me what went wrong a lot of the time. A joke that would be funny once and only once became popular among the viewing audience, and then they repeated it in later seasons, making it not funny. Take, for instance, the chicken fight scene. They overdid that a lot in later seasons. The interesting thing about this is that it all started when the chicken gave him bad coupons in an early episode, but at the end of the episode it was revealed that it was all a dream of some guy in that show, Dallas. That means it makes no sense that the chicken would attack them again. I also kinda wish they hadn't repeated it because it was filler! But I actually liked the chicken because even though his fight scenes were long, they were entertaining and it was unpredictable enough that it was funny when he randomly came up in the middle of an episode. I also loved that monkey in Chris's closet, another running joke that was funny because it made no sense. But after they devoted a whole episode to him later, tried to give him a sympathetic aspect and wrote him out of the show, well, that's just another way Seth kills his own running jokes. Also, the part where Peter trips and hurts his leg and sits there for a long time in pain. That was funny because it directly followed the whole golden ticket scene where Peter was running home all excited. After the show was revived, though, gags where they extend something for a long period of time aren't funny, they're just lazy writing meant to fill time. And whenever they do one, I can hear thousands of people across the nation changing the channel in boredom. That, by the way, is why Family Guy got canceled in the first place. It had unfortunate time slots during its initial run, which pitted it against Frasier and Friends, two of the most popular television series ever. Now that doesn't matter as much in the era of Netflix, Hulu, and YouTube, but back then it could be a death sentence for your ratings when you were put up against monster shows like those. Apparently when Family Guy first debuted, it gained controversy for being more adult than other shows, which is unfair since South Park had already been around for a couple seasons by that point. And if it seems like I'm just using the old show as a way to insult the new one, the old show really didn't do that much for me. It's not as intentionally offensive as South Park was, and it wasn't as funny as The Simpsons was. There are people who would say that Family Guy is a complete ripoff of The Simpsons, and that's not true. It has some original ideas, but the characters all have one and only one dimension. Plots usually aren't funny in themselves, just vehicles for cutaway gags. This became more true as the show went on, obviously. The first season, I'll give them a few non-cliché plots, like the pilot, with Peter flying a blimp over the Super Bowl and all. In fact, instead of comparing the Family Guy to The Simpsons, to which it bore a resemblance only in the early seasons, why don't we compare it to Futurama instead? That's the show where you're not supposed to believe it's set in real life or any consistent future, and Family Guy still falls short of Futurama, because Futurama has actual character depth and not just annoying voices. And Matt Groening and company know how humor works better than Seth MacFarlane and company do. So the day I think Seth MacFarlane jumped the shark is February 6th, 2005. 2005 had a lot of things that really demonstrate that Seth was completely past all hope, and this date was the first of them. American Dad started out this day, and it was painfully obvious that it was Family Guy. The pet talks, the dad is an idiot, there are two teenage kids and some extra family member who has to go out wearing disguises, they live in a suburb, they do cutaway gags. It's Family Guy without the obnoxious Boston accents. Alright, I'm not gonna complain about the accents. I grew up in New England, I know what the accents are like. By the way, Seth MacFarlane is running out of voices. Stan Smith and Carter Pewterschmidt have the same voice, and it's annoyingly close to Brian Griffin, and Stewie Griffin and Glenn Quagmire sound the same, and Tom Tucker is between the two range of the voices. And you know what this means? It means Seth MacFarlane wasn't that great a voice actor after all. And The Simpsons can still do a better cast of characters with 6 people than Family Guy can do with, well, let's face it, 1. Also in February 2005, Seth Green got his own show, Robot Chicken. And not only was he better in that show than he ever was at doing Chris, not only was that show better than Family Guy, over the next 5 years, it demonstrated exactly why Family Guy didn't have to exist, why Seth MacFarlane was obsolete. The show is basically a very quick variety show with action figures, little 20-second short gags on random pop culture subject. This is kind of like what Family Guy would look like if they took out the plot and just had the cutaway gags. Like, all the cutaway gags, strung together, performed with dolls, would be Robot Chicken, and it wouldn't even be as good. But then, when Seth MacFarlane brought back Family Guy in later 2005, he did so with an entire political platform to push. Now, it's not that I don't like shows that have political messages, but for a show like Family Guy, politics should be strictly secondary to humor. The whole plot was politics, not humor, and that was the only thing that originally differentiated Family Guy and American Dad. An episode on why we should legalize marijuana, an episode on how Fox News is full of conservative propaganda, an episode on gay rights. So here's how a political cartoon series can do it right. South Park had an agenda, and that agenda was, you can't tell us what we can and cannot say, and damn, they made us laugh doing it. The whole Trapped in the Closet episode with Scientology was enormously controversial amongst that religion, and its message was clear. We will talk about Scientology this way, and you can't stop us. And that episode came out in 2005. You know what? 2005 was just one big argument for why we should stop paying attention to Seth MacFarlane. But did we listen? No! And can I complain about the music for a bit? When I said Butch Hartman loved using all this big band music, I can see where he got it from. Every single song and dance number in Family Guy that the characters sing is equivalent to this. Oh man, lawyers, oh what's up with those guys? It's like they're speaking a completely different language half the time. Just a routine on an easy comedy target set to music. That's what it is.
Ooh, I respect women when I'm on a date. I take them to the park or maybe a museum, and I only try to kiss them if they're ready. Woohoo!
Yeah, okay, I'll admit this one is a very accurate parody of Will Smith. He does begin all the songs with like, woo! And but most of the songs aren't like this, and they really should be, because this is the only funny song I've ever seen on Family Guy.
For reasons having to do with poor collective taste, Family Guy became the first animated TV show since the Flintstones to be nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Comedy TV Series in 2009. That's like if Twisted Sister went up for a Grammy for Best Record now. Then there's The Cleveland Show. First off, let me be clear on how I feel about animated spin-offs.
No!
Yes, there have been good live-action ones, like The Frasier that pushed Family Guy off the air in the first place, but there has never been a good animated one, and I don't think there ever will.
Oh, come on, that doesn't count. There's only one.
Alright, fine.
What the hell? He's getting his own show? What began as a cross-country adventure.
But The Cleveland Show was never going to be quality television, and everybody involved with that project knew it from the start. Even for Seth, this was half-assing it. This is one of those series that you know they weren't going for good programming, and they did it for some alternate reason. I don't know, maybe someone had to do a contractual obligation, or they needed some undesirable time slot filled, or they ran out of budget, or whatever. But this was not made for the reasons TV shows should be made. And all 3 shows are still going, and this is the reason I don't watch TV anymore. Seriously, I don't care if I ever hear Seth MacFarlane's voice again. And that's why I didn't watch that movie. So this is the verdict on Seth MacFarlane. His material is weak, and even when it's not, it doesn't fit into the TV sitcom format at all. Maybe he should have done a clip show, like Robot Chicken. I mean, his cavalcade that he did with a bunch of corporate sponsors would have been nice if he'd tried it in 2000 before all his jokes started being awful. Basically, he's a bad writer, overrated voice actor, mediocre comedian, and awful political campaigner. 2005, the year Seth MacFarlane jumped the shark.